Welcome everyone. We're back again, and this time it's back to me and Lyric, and we're going to go through a couple of subjects this week. We're going to start off with Barcelona Gate or Barca-gate, I think it's called, and then we'll go on to talk about the board draw of Chelsea Man United, the Chelsea Liverpool game. We'll touch on briefly, and then we'll touch a little bit on the refereeing status in the Premier League at the moment. It's a little bit all over the shop. Is it VAR that's doing this? And we'll talk a little bit about that. But let's start off with Barca-gate. What do you think on the situation at the moment at Barcelona?
Oh, it's absolutely a shambles, isn't it? It's a shame. Well, we all knew that they were in a lot of debt, and obviously the previous president didn't make any big decisions well. All the big transfers and all the spending was insane. Like, I remember talking about all of this before all of this happened, in terms of how they started. They forgot all about La Masia and all their training academy. They have all these amazing stars that came out of there and almost retired, and suddenly you saw this switch where they almost became the old Real Madrid, where they were they were trying and running after marquee signings. Only difference being all the marquee signings weren't even marquee, like they weren't at that level. They weren't world class players that they were signing either. So they were spending insane amounts of money and they weren't like making good decisions. So it felt kind of strange, and I didn't understand why they did it. But maybe there was something going on behind the scenes, like police are investigating now the corruption scandal. So maybe there's something there. Yeah, the club's in a mess, and I can't believe that it got out of hand to this level before they actually found out what's happening.
Yeah. It seems a bit ridiculous. I mean, a club like Barcelona, $1.1 billion in debt, I think it is, which is that's phenomenal, and that's US dollars too. That's not Australian dollars.
Yeah.
Like that's huge. That's a huge amount of debt for any club. And I think a chunk of that needs to be paid back this summer as well. A lot
Yeah.
of clubs are still owed for their players. They played ridiculous amounts. I mean, I love Coutinho when he played for us, but 142 million for Coutinho, come on. Like, that's ridiculous. I mean, it was out of control, some of the
Yeah,
spending.
and wasn't that with the clause to say that they can't sign any more players for a couple of years from Liverpool and all of that?
It
That they
was,
were
yeah,
they
yeah, it
agreed
included some
to
odd things.
they agreed to those conditions like he was some sort of megastar, and he wasn't. Like he was a good player, no doubt, but he wasn't a Ronaldo. You know what I mean? He
He wasn't the
wasn't.
most consistent player. He'd have an amazing game,
Yeah,
but then he may go two games where he'd play average. He wouldn't play amazing in all those
exactly.
games. He didn't have too many off games, but he wasn't that big
Yeah,
superstar. And obviously, he can perform when he needs to. He did for Bayern against Barca
he
last
needs
year,
a yeah,
which is
and
the funniest thing. I think
yeah,
the biggest thing he's done for Barca since he's left is win the Champions League with Bayern,
but
which is
yeah.
huge.
But it just shows the decision-making issues at Barca, because I don't think they have the right coach and the right system to be able to get the right people in. So I know Koeman's doing a good job, to be fair, with what he's got. I don't think he's doing terribly. He's doing an all right job. But some nice coach, like a Flick, or obviously there's not many like him. But what I'm saying is some good coach would probably be able to get more out of the likes of Coutinho and the system. So they should have. You almost need the system before you get the player in, rather than just getting the player, because then you know what pieces of the puzzle are missing. But because Barca didn't have a system, while Verde played all defensive football, Luis Enrique before that was completely different to what Valverde was doing. So his system and his system were a complete mismatch. So I didn't know
Yeah,
Coutinho was needed at the time. And then you had this Setien come in for a short amount of time, which he played a different kind of football. And now you've got this guy. And the rumors around Setien not even being told that he was actually sacked, which is ridiculous. I don't know how you could miss something like that. you know
yeah,
Obviously he
yeah,
knew, but officially, I'm sure, like that's the dumbest thing you could do, not officially tell someone you're sacked. So I
yeah.
don't know. I think they're going to
100%.
owe a lot of money to him as well whenever that happens, and he'll
Mm,
probably be filing stuff in court and all of that, and taking that up as well. So they're going to be in a lot of pain. The debt,
yeah,
necessarily, maybe it's a big problem because they shouldn't be in debt, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. The situation is what it is. So I think they'll get it serviced, like like we do our home loans, for example, like Man
yeah,
United servicing the debt. So they'll get it serviced and whatever, and
yeah,
they'll be fine with it in terms of the debt. But they shouldn't be in this position. They're not going to be the same Barcelona they did before, with all of this going around, and they'll take a few years to recover from this. So all the big spending is out of the budget. So they do need a big overhaul. I know.
Yeah, no, I
Sometimes I
agree.
can't help but wonder if there was some insider, if this guy, if Josep Maria Bartomeu was some kind of insider from Real Madrid, like a double agent going there to just ruin things. Also noting the whole political situation in Spain with the whole
Yeah.
Catalan independence thing, and Barcelona is like on the center of that. The whole Catalan independence thing, and then people from Madrid or the government just shut it down like with brute force, even though they elected for a free government or a free, I guess, independence for the Catalan side of things. So
Mm.
I know that they're quite connected. The Catalan state and Barcelona are quite connected with overall in Spain what's happening in Spain. So I don't know if this was some sort of. I mean, you can't help but think maybe this was some sort of a scheme to bring Barcelona down to its knees, because it was the only
I'm
biggest
not. I'm
thing.
not too sure. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's a very odd move. Whatever's happened. I mean,
Yeah.
you look at the accusations. So just running off a few of them in my head. So i3 Ventures, the company who are at question at the moment, this
Mm.
big marketing media company, 13 odd payments going out to them in the
Mm-hmm.
regions of about $200,000 each, and you're talking players like Puyol, who was amazing defender, what a great defender. PK, who's been a servant to the club his whole career. Messi. You're talking about Pep Guardiola, Xavi. All of these players were badmouthed by Bartomeu through this i3 Ventures, and
Yeah.
that's now proven. But the charges are going up, and we don't know what the charges fully are. So it's going to be very interesting. It's a
Shocking.
weird time as well,
And
because the new president
yeah,
is getting elected at
at the same
Barcelona at
time.
the moment,
Yeah.
and that looks like it could be Laporta going back up into presidency. In my opinion, it will be him again, because it always is the same faces, unfortunately.
Yeah.
However, Laporta did get them out of trouble. He was there, from 2003 to 2010. They were going through hell at that time. They came out of that as one of the richest clubs in the world in 2010, and now look where they're back at. He could do the same thing again and
Yeah.
turn it
I
around.
agree.
Who knows? I think it's a big thing ahead. There's only 3 people. I think the other one's Font, and then Tony Freya, I think it
Font and
is.
Freya. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
and I don't know anything about Freya. I know Font's been involved in the club for a long time. I don't know
yeah,
enough about Freya
he's
to
the
even.
one. He's the guy who's been saying that he'll get Xavi back as director of football and stuff like that, right? I don't even
Yeah, I
know if
believe
that's a
so.
good move. The guy's in management. He doesn't know. Like, director of football is completely different to a manager role, and I don't know. He'd probably be interested in it, but don't you want someone who's proven commercially to be able to manage the incoming versus outgoing? At the moment, you need a lot of money. They need a lot of revenue turned over, and they need to improve their results on the pitch with good signings and good coach hiring and all of that if they do get
Yeah,
rid of Coleman. So they need someone like a Lewis or Campos or whatever, whichever. Man United, for example, are crying out loud for. He's taken Lille to number one, and they're competing with PSG with practically 1/4 of their budget, with
yeah.
PSG's budget. So I think there's so many things out there that are not right, and hopefully Laporte, because no one wants to see a club like that fall in that pit like they are now. So I do
Mm,
hope that they do better, and they
yeah.
come out of it the right way.
Well, saying that, they're not doing too bad in the league at the moment. To be honest,
Yeah.
like they're 5 points behind. They're another game, so it
Yeah.
could be 8 points, but still not too bad. Like it's not as far as
It's
we are
not, but
behind
that's just the
behind City at
league,
the
I think.
moment.
Yeah, that's just the league. I feel like more than anything else. How often would you have lost and sort of dropped so many points and still been there in another
Yeah,
season? So no, it's similar to Man United, and like they're not the second best team in the league by far. If maybe currently they are, this season they are, but they've been playing with the full strength. Suppose where Liverpool's decimated and all the other clubs have been sort of not being consistent and having their own problems. But we'll move on to that anyway, because I think we'll move on to the Man United Chelsea game, because I do want to touch on the whole thing.
Chelsea
But
versus Man United. Thank you very
yeah,
much.
yeah. Well, I don't think that would have changed even if it was Man United versus Chelsea. Which is the shameful thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
even if he was playing at home, he would have played the same to centre back pairing, which does not work. The same sort of two
mm,
people in front of the center back, which again just sit there and do nothing creativity wise. I know we're missing Pogba, but it's not like he doesn't have players. Van de Beek, he's made one substitution towards the game. There's so many holes in always management that I'm fed up, really fed up of how long it's taking him to. I mean, yeah, I'm all for, he's a club legend, and that's never going to change in my eyes. But what he's doing right now is basically, while leaving that legacy side as a coach, I don't see what's the upgrade from Mourinho. Yeah, we're winning a few more games and all of that, but I feel like eventually Mourinho did that for 2 seasons, and third season it was all down in the drain. And I feel like that might happen with him next year, unless I genuinely see that happening. I genuinely see us struggling next year really badly when every other team will be back up. And I'm sure we'll make some signings and all of that. But with this kind of defense and with this kind of, packaged up sort of, defense with extra CDMs and all of that, with no creativity apart from Bruno, who's isolated in these kind of games because the pitch is so big. Because you don't squeeze the team, and basically he's out of the game. Rashford's out of the game. They're individuals. They can't play any connecting passes. So, it's clear to see. And all of our attacks always happen on the left. There's nothing coming from the right. I think when the ball goes to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, the other team's like, let him have it. Who cares? Let him have it. Let him do whatever. And the worst thing he'll do is do a back pass again. Like he can't cross it. He can't pick a nice pass. Like, I'm not saying you should be the best attacking right back in the world, but we paid 50 million for nothing attacking wise, like zero. I don't see, and I think, to be fair, I think he could have improved, and there is a lot of things to his game that he can improve in the attacking sense. I just think that he's not got the right coaching system for it. Like Trent Alexander, from when he started to now, and his ceiling is way high, and I understand he's a different player and all of that, but he came in as a youngster. He got the opportunity, which I don't think under Solskjaer you're getting. Apart from Greenwood, who was a sensation already, he's not really developed any other youngsters. He's all had the same kind of players, and the same thing can continue to happen. I don't see any new youngsters coming into the squad because he doesn't change the squad at all. He sits with his favorites. I don't understand why sort of, I know it's hard to offload De Gea, but we gave Matic a new contract, so another an older sort of team member in the squad. There's so many issues and I know that there are issues above Oli which are bigger, but I just think the current coach will not be able to get the best out of the players. I'm not saying he should go by any means the end of this season, till the end of the season. But at the end of the season, they really need to evaluate: is one goal.
I don't think he's going anywhere, to be honest.
I know, I agree. I don't think so
I think
either.
he'll be staying a little while.
Yeah.
I just want to make a point, because I know a few months ago, most Man United fans would have hands down taken a draw against Chelsea happily at Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. A 0-0 draw, they would have happily taken that. So you're talking about it being a dreadful result. You've got to remember this is actually probably a good result when you look back at where you were thinking you were going to be come this part of the season, in relation to where you are now. So I think although you're unhappy with the football they're playing, they're getting the results at the moment. They are a long way off the pace, but a long way is 12 points. That's 4 games. Who knows? That could change at any time. You've got them coming up as well. That's a big match. But yeah, let's touch on the other matches we're going to talk about briefly, because we're running very low on time again. So Liverpool Chelsea, I think that's an interesting one. Again, I'm concerned about our defence at the moment. I'm concerned about Kabak and Phillips as a partnership at the back.
I saw the slander Kabak was getting last week after his game, and I'm like, give him some time. He's new in there. Like,
I don't blame him at all. He's very new, and I just don't think a partnership of those two is going to hold out the Chelsea defense. Like, to be honest, I wouldn't mind seeing the two fullbacks pulling in a little bit and actually playing a bit more defensive. For
so you would take a point.
We need a win. So no, it's at home. I want us to get back to winning at home, and I'd love to see Fabinho coming back and going into defence. So I think Fabinho alongside Kabak will be quite a good partnership. But we'll see. We'll wait and see.
I think Tuchel's going to go very, very like the way he played against Stamford Bridge against Man United. I think he's going to use the same sort of tactics. So he's going to go there not to lose predominantly, because he's ahead of Liverpool, and he'll try and snatch a victory, and he'll test that defense. Because what they've done well is they've showed up their defense playing 3 at the back, which they'll continue to do. So it'll be harder to break them down. But at the same time, they'll put some pace up ahead, I think, which will trouble your guys. And they might, although Chelsea are not creating regular chances, but I think they're trying for a smash and grab, which is what both managers are
They're
trying to
not
do the other day.
conceding, mate. They're not conceding at all.
Exactly. So
First manager in Premiership history not to concede in his first 4 home games.
but yeah,
That says it all. You know that
yeah.
he's
But
doing a job which
they're
has
not
never
scoring. They're
been
not
done. So,
scoring. I've seen all their games so far. They're not freely scoring either, and they're
yeah,
not smashing it away or anything. So what he's trying to do is, because Lampard was leaking so many goals, all he's trying to do is shore up the defense. But
yeah,
that has come at the cost of losing some of his expansive attacking sort of talent and tactics that he used to use at Borussia Dortmund and PSG. So I think it'll come, but he'll do it in phases. But at the same time, this game, I think he's going to go back to defensive.
yeah. Fair enough. All right. Last point, just to touch on 2 things here. Well, a couple of things. Let's talk about penalties and free kicks, and let's talk about refereeing. Actually, so the main point here is referees at the moment. I think referees have probably never been so under the pump at the moment. And so going into the devil's advocate and looking at all views, I think we're talking about them a lot more than usual because of VAR. At the same time, though, some of these decisions are getting a bit absurd. I mean, what happened at Brighton was just ridiculous. Like,
that was human error. That was plain human error. My thought. I think even Dermot at the end of the Dermot McGallagher at the end of the thing said that was Lee Mason losing focus.
Yeah.
Literally losing. He didn't see that this team ahead of him was ready, and he blew the whistle. And instead of saying, "Sorry, mate, I made a mistake," and just finishing up there and saying, "Sorry, I made a mistake. Please take it again. I accidentally blew the whistle," without seeing the goalkeeper was ready to take position, he went and he almost tried to hide his mistake and gave the goal. And then VAR had to intervene, and he cancelled the goal. So what I think has happened over the last year or so is that VAR has exposed a lot of these referees indecisions, or these referees who are almost scared and give decisions away under pressure sometimes. I think it's been exposed.
It's a pressureful job. Like I would never want to be a ref. Like, I don't know who would. I think VAR is becoming a ref almost impossible job.
I can think of Mike Dean, who loves to be a referee in the limelight and pull out his red card and loves the attention. But at the same time, I hate that referee. I guess I don't want to support what happened to him after the game in terms of threats and everything. But he's an absolute terrible, dreadful referee, and none of the managers like him either. Very egocentric and all of that, and you can't do that. But yeah, I agree. I think VR has exposed a lot of these inconsistencies and decisions, and it's still inconsistent. Like the Man United penalty that apparently was a penalty. In no other season it would have been a penalty. I take that, and there's no reason for us to have won that penalty and win the game, because I would have hated it even then, even if we had gotten 3 points based on that. But what I see is that same week, I think a few games, I don't remember which game it was, a similar thing happened where a defender went to put the hand on someone else's back, the attacker's back, and the ball hit his hand, and the penalty was given. Essentially exactly the same thing. It wasn't close or anything. It traveled from afar. He went to put his hand. He knew nothing about it. And because it hit the hand and his hand was somewhere else, like this, a penalty was given, which is exactly what the situation was, and it wasn't given. So there's so many inconsistencies. Players saying week in, week out, I don't understand the law, which is just ridiculous. And then you've got the A-League who does it so well with all the explanation and all of that. There was an Italian report where a referee was going to come out and explain the decisions to the media, which was a good thing. Just you hold them accountable. It's a pressure job, so you better have thick skin and you better be sure that you're making the right decision. So I think that's how it is with that, and that's how it's meant to be, really. Right.
Yeah,
I think yeah.
No, I was just going to say I agree. I think it's the kind of thing that we've got to understand that we're going to continue getting odd decisions until there is a cut and dry rule with certain aspects as well. Yeah. So handballs, it's not cut and dry. It's different. It's different everywhere, and it's different in each league. Even offsides, although offsides are now a little bit more cut and dry, this 3D line is ridiculous. It needs to go. It should be a line on the floor, and that's it. Yeah. And they need to make clear
the
decisions.
Arm and the whole thing, the 3D line comes up, and then you don't know if it's offside, onside. I agree.
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah. So I think a few things like that need to be cleared up first.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. We're probably running out of time.
Yeah, so yeah,
yeah.
we'll wrap up, guys. We'll make sure we'll cover 2 topics, because then we can get into a little more sort of debate mode for next time. But thanks for watching, everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe, as you know, and
Take
support
care,
us.
everyone.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See ya.